Hello everyone, this is Refresh, and I'm here to bring you a battle between the two Kaladesh Planeswalker decks and the Battle of the Horde challenge deck from Born of the Gods. For this battle, we'll be using 3 hero cards. The first one is the Harvester. It will let you tap to draw and then discard a card each turn. We're going to be playing it as though both of these decks have it, because I only have 1 card. Same goes for the Explorer and the Vanquisher. The Explorer says you may play an additional land on each of your turns, and the Vanquisher says that your starting hand size is increased by 1, your maximum hand size is increased by 1. For the first game, we'll be playing on normal difficulty with 3 turns before the Horde comes charging in. We'll go ahead and draw 7 cards apiece and see how it goes. Chandra draws a Plains, a Mountains, a Renegade Firebrand, a Plains, a Renegade Firebrand, a Flame Lash, and a Brazen Scourge. I think we can keep this even though it's a bit of a slower hand. Nissa draws a Sage of Ciela's Claim, a Servant of the Conduit, Imperial Voyager, Island, Verdant Crescendo, Forest, and Janjit Sentry. We'll go ahead and keep this as well on the strength of being able to cast Servant of the Conduit. Turn 1 we'll play the Plains and the Mountain, and the Forest and the Island. We'll go ahead and tap both and play the Servant of the Conduit. When it enters the battlefield, we'll get 2 energy, and then we'll end the turn. We'll use the Harvester at the end of the turn. Chandra will draw a Chandra Pyro Genius, and Nissa will draw a Guardian of the Great Conduit. We will discard the Flame Lash, and we will discard the Sage of Shayla's Claim, and then we'll untap. We'll draw, Chandra will draw a Veteran Motorist, and Nissa will draw a Forest. We'll play the Forest, we'll play the Plains, we'll tap 3 here to play the Imperial Voyager, and we'll tap 2 here to play the Veteran Motorist, and we will scry 2. We will put both of these at the bottom because we need land. And then we will attack with Servant of the Conduit, dealing 2 damage to the Horde. They will mill 2 cards. When refreshing elixir is put into the graveyard from anywhere, each player gains 5 life. We'll gain 10 life to go to 30, and then it'll be the end of the turn. We'll use the Harvester. Chandra will draw a Bomat Bizarre Barge, and Nissa will draw a Island. We will discard the Janjit Sentry, and we will discard the Brazen Scourge. We will untap. We will draw. Chandra draws a Snare Thopter, and Nissa draws a Terrain Elemental. We'll play the Island over here, and then we will attack with the Servant of the Conduit and the Veteran Motorist for 5 damage. There's another refreshing elixir, so we'll go ahead and gain 10 more life to go to 40. On the second main phase, we will cast the Guardian of the Great Conduit and a Renegade Firebrand, and then we will pass the turn to the Horde. The Horde will play their first 3 cards. We will have a Reckless Minotaur, a Phobos Reaver, and a Reckless Minotaur. They will all come in on the attack. We will double block the Phobos Reaver with the Imperial Voyager and the Guardian of the Great Conduit to kill it. We won't block either of the Reckless Minotaurs to take 8 damage to go to 32. They will die at the end of the turn. And then at the end of the turn, we will use the Harvester. Chandra draws a Stone Quarry. We will discard the Snare Thopter. Nissa draws a Thriving Turtle, and we will discard the Thriving Turtle. We will untap. We'll draw a Mountain for Chandra and a Longfin Skywhale for Nissa. We'll play the Mountain. We'll cast Verdant Crescendo, searching for a Forest. There it is. Put it in our hand. And for Nissa, Nature's Artisan, we'll also put that in our hand. We'll shuffle. We'll play the Forest. We'll play the Stone Quarry. We will attack with the Renegade Firebrand, the Servant of the Conduit, and the Imperial Voyager for 7 damage. Oh, the Phobos Reaver died last turn. And then we will tap 4 mana here to play the Bomat Bizarre Barge. When it enters the battlefield, we'll draw a card. We can't play this because we've maxed out on lands for the turn. So we will pass the turn to the Horde. The Horde will play the top 3 cards. The first one being a Phobos Reaver. The second one being a Mogus Chosen and enters the battlefield tapped. and a Minotaur Younghorn. These two will attack. The Younghorn will be blocked by the Guardian of the Great Conduit. The Veteran Motorist will crew the Bomat Bazaar Barge, and the Barge will block the Phobos Reaver. That will kill both of these. And then at the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Chandra draws a Fleetwheel Cruiser. Nissa draws a Guardian of the Great Conduit. We will discard the Terrain Elemental, and we will discard the Renegade Firebrand. We will untap. We'll draw. Chandra draws a Trusty Companion. Nissa draws a Forest. We'll play the Forest. We'll play the Plains. We'll play Chandra Pyrogenius. She enters the battlefield with 5 loyalty. We'll play Nissa Nature's Artisan. She enters the battlefield with 5 loyalty. We'll plus her 3 to take her to 8 loyalty and gain 3 life to go to 35. We'll plus Chandra to go to 7 loyalty and deal 2 damage to the Horde. We should have gained 2 energy from the Imperial Voyager, so we'll be at 4 energy. Then we will attack with the Guardian of the Great Conduit, which is now 4/4 Vigilance Reach. We will attack with the Servant of the Conduit. We will attack with the Renegade Firebrand for 9 damage. Okay, there's 9. And then we will end the turn. It'll be the Horde's turn. It will untap. It'll play the top 3 cards, which is Touch of the Horn God. Whenever a Minotaur attacks this turn, it gains Death Touch until end of turn. Consuming Rage. Whenever a Minotaur attacks this turn, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. Destroy that creature at the end of combat. And a Minotaur Goreseeker. The Goreseeker and the Mogus is Chosen will attack. We won't block because it has Death Touch and +2/+0. So we will take 8 damage and go down to 27. These two will die at the end of turn. And then we will use the Harvester at the end of turn. Chandra will draw a mountain and will discard the mountain. Nissa will draw a Woodland Stream and will discard the Woodland Stream. We'll untap. Chandra will draw a Plains. Nissa will draw an island. We'll play the island. We'll play the Plains. We'll cast the Fleetwheel Cruiser. When it enters the battlefield, it will become a creature until end of turn. We'll cast a Guardian of the Great Conduit over here. We will plus Nissa to 11 and get 3 life to go up to 30. We'll plus Chandra up to 9 and deal 2 damage to the Horde. We will go on the attack. We'll attack with the Renegade Firebrand, the Fleetwheel Cruiser. We'll crew the Bomat Bazaar Barge and attack with the Bazaar Barge as a 6/6. We will attack with the Guardian of the Great Conduit and the Servant of the Conduit for a total of 20 damage. Okay, we have a Vitality Salve. When Vitality Salve is put into the graveyard from anywhere, each player returns a creature card from his or her graveyard to the battlefield. We will return the Brazen Scourge to the battlefield for Chandra. We will return a Janjit Sentry to the battlefield for Nissa. When it enters the battlefield, we'll gain 2 energy to go up to 6. Plundered Statue. When Plundered Statue is put into a graveyard from anywhere, each player draws a card. Chandra will draw a Liberating Combustion. Nissa will draw a Repairing Tiger. We have another Plundered Statue. Chandra will draw a Mountain. Nissa will draw a Terrain Elemental. Altar of Mogus. When Altar of Mogus is put into the graveyard from anywhere, the Horde sacrifices 2 Minotaurs. There are no Minotaurs to sacrifice. Massacre Totem. When Massacre Totem is put into the graveyard from anywhere, put the top 7 cards of the Horde's library into its graveyard. There are only 4 cards left, so that fully mills the Horde. There are no cards left in its library, and so the Kaladesh Planeswalker decks win the day. We'll be back for Game 2. Alright, Game 2 with Hard Mode. We'll go ahead and draw 7 each and see how it goes. Chandra draws a Liberating Combustion, Plains, Cathartic Reunion, Aerial Responder, Chandra Pyrogenius, Veteran Motorist, and Snare Thopter. There are not enough lands here, so we'll go ahead and ship this and draw back up to 7 because we're playing multiplayer. Now Chandra has a Snare Thopter, Veteran Motorist, Mountain, Fleetwheel Cruiser, Renegade Freighter, Mountain, and Plains. I think that's keepable. Nissa has a Woodland Stream, Attune with Aether, Thriving Turtle, Repairing Tiger, Imperial Voyager, and Terrain Elemental. Again, there's only 1 land, and it's actually a tap land, so we'll go ahead and ship that and draw back up to 7. Nissa has an Attune with Aether, Island, Longfin, Skywell, Forest, Attune with Aether, Genji Sentry, and Malfunction. Go ahead and keep that. For turn 1, we will play a Plains and a Mountain, and then we will tap both and play a Veteran Motorist. For Chandra, we'll scry 2. We have a Renegade Firebrand and a Mountain. We'll go ahead and put the Mountain on top and the Renegade Firebrand next. For Chandra, we're going to play a Forest. Then we're going to play Attune with Aether to go searching our library for a Forest. We'll put that in our hand. We'll shuffle. We'll get 2 energy, and then we'll play the second Forest. We'll play the second Attune with Aether, searching for an island. We'll shuffle, and we'll get 2 more energy to go to 4 energy. And then we'll end our first turn. We will use the Harvester at the end of the turn. Chandra will draw a Mountain. Nissa will draw an Appetite for the Unnatural. We will discard the Malfunction, and we'll discard the Snare Thopter. We'll untap. We'll draw. Chandra draws a Renegade Firebrand. Nissa draws a Verdant Crescendo. We will play both of the islands and both of the mountains. We'll tap all 4 and play the Renegade Cruiser. When it enters the battlefield, it becomes an artifact creature until the end of the turn, so it can attack. It also has Trample and Haste. And we will attack with the Veteran Motorist and the Fleetwheel Cruiser for 8 damage. There we go. On this side, we will cast the Longfin Skywhale, and then we will pass the turn to the Horde. The Horde will play its top 3 cards, the first one being a Reckless Minotaur, the second one being a Minotaur Younghorn, and the third one being a Mogis Chosen tapped. These 2 will attack. We will choose not to block the Reckless Minotaur, and the Longfin Skywhale will block and eat the Minotaur Younghorn. They'll take 4 damage from the Reckless Minotaur to go to 16, and the Reckless Minotaur will die. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Chandra will draw a Mountain. Nissa will draw an Attune with Aether. We will discard the Attune with Aether, and we will discard the Mountain. We'll untap. We'll draw. Chandra will draw a Stone Quarry. Nissa will draw a Forest. Play the Forest. We'll play the Stone Quarry tapped. We'll play the Renegade Firebrand. We'll play Verdant Crescendo, searching for an island. We'll put the island onto the battlefield tapped. We'll also search for Nissa Nature's Artisan and put it into our hand. We'll shuffle. And we will attack with the Longfin Skywhale. The Veteran Motorist will crew the Fleetwheel Cruiser with the Renegade Firebrand, attack the Fleetwheel Cruiser for a total of 12 damage. We discarded 2 Refreshing Elixirs, so we'll gain 10 life. To go to 26, we also discarded the Massacre Totem, which will cause us to put 7 more cards from the deck into the graveyard. We discarded the Vitality Salve, which will let us put a creature from our graveyard into the battlefield. That is a Snare Thopter, and there is no creature in Nissa's graveyard. The Altar of Mogis will cause the Horde to sacrifice 2 creatures. It'll sacrifice its 1 Mogis Chosen. And then that will end the turn. For the Kaladesh Planeswalker decks, it is now going to be the Horde's turn. They will cast the top 3 cards. The first one being Minotaur Younghorn, the second one being a Touch of the Horn God. Whenever a Minotaur attacks this turn, it gains Death Touch until end of turn. And the third one being a Minotaur Younghorn. Both Minotaur Younghorns will attack uncontested. We will take 4 damage and go to 22. Then we will end the turn. We'll untap. We'll draw. Chandra draws a Sky Swirl Harrier. Nissa draws a Verdant Crescendo. We will crew the Fleetwheel Cruiser again and attack with everybody for 15 damage. And then on the second main phase, we will cast the Sky Swirl Harrier, and we will cast Nissa Nature's Artisan. Oh, this should be in the graveyard. This begins with 5. We're going to already bump her up immediately to 8 to get 3 life to go to 25. And then we're going to pass the turn to the Horde. The Horde will untap and will cast the top 3 cards. The first one being a Mogis Chosen tapped, a Minotaur Goreseeker, and a Phobos Reaver. All of these guys go in on the attack. We'll block the Goreseeker with the Sky Swirl Harrier. It will die, and we will take 6 damage to go to 19. And then we will untap. We'll draw, Chandra draws a Flame Lash, Nissa draws an island. We'll play the island. We'll tap to crew the Fleetwheel Cruiser. We'll attack the Cruiser, the Snarethopter, the Motorist, and the Longfin Skywhale. For another 15, we milled 2 Plundered Statues, so we'll draw 2 more cards. Chandra draws a Trusty Companion and a Speedway Fanatic. Nissa draws a Longfin Skywhale and a Forest. We'll play the Forest. We'll play the Longfin Skywhale. Play the Genjit Sentry. It'll come in and give us 2 energy to take us up to 6. We'll play the Trusty Companion. We'll play the Speedway Fanatic. And then we'll pass the turn to the Horde. The Horde will untap. And the Horde will attack. The Skywhale will trade with the Mogus's Chosen. The Younghorn will be eaten by the Genjit Sentry. A Minotaur Younghorn will be eaten by the Sky Scroll Harrier, and the Phobos Reaver will trade with the Trusty Companion. Everything dies. And the Kaladesh Planeswalker decks come out victorious 2 times in a row against both the regular and the hard difficulty mode versions of the Battle of the Horde challenge deck from Born of the Gods. Let me know what you thought about this battle in the comments below. If I made any misplays or rules errors, please let me know. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you'd like to see more such videos, hit subscribe. I'll be back with a battle between these Kaladesh Planeswalker decks and the Defeat a God challenge deck from Journey to Nyx next. Until then, this was Refresh. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.